Hi there, this is Sandra with Sandra Jean Design. In today's video, I'm going to be walking you through step by step how I set up my leather patches in Adobe Illustrator and then send them over to the laser to be engraved and cut. If you have any questions along the way, please post them in the comments and I'll be sure to get back to you as soon as I can.
So we're going to take this design, copy it, and we are going to convert it into this. So I already have a blank document open. I'm going to hit Control V to paste that on there. And I'm scrolling using Alt and the scroll button on my mouse. So the first thing that we're going to do is our patch needs to be, I have two different patch sizes. One's going to be 2.75 and the other one is going to be 2.5. So we'll go ahead and size this one to 2.5. Whoa, not like that. We need to get everything. Okay, so next thing we're going to do, we're going to zoom in, not out. So I want to make an outline, my patch outline. So I'm going to hit the swap button here, and that automatically swaps your fill and stroke. And then for the epilogue, I like to have a stroke weight for vectorizing, a stroke weight of 0.025. That seems to work best for me. And I always do black. Don't ask me why, but that's just how it works for me. Okay, so then these little rivets here you can see have a, I always forget the word, variegation, gradient. So I want to make these solid because sometimes, not always, but I just don't want it to mess with anything while it's engraving. So I'm going to change all of those to solid black, and because of there's that little line in there, I'm just going to hit unite, and that's going to make all of those one solid piece. Okay, and then this here, you want to go in and make sure each of these pieces are all joined together. You never know if there's a hidden stroke in there that's a vector stroke weight and you end up accidentally cutting your patch in your design. So we're going to go ahead and unite all of those. And it looks like everything else is good. So I'm going to select those, deselect the outside spot there, the outside of your patch, group all those together. And then what I like to do is make a fake stitch line. So I'm going to copy this patch design here, and all I did with that is I hit the Alt key, and you see when you're hovering over the highlighted line there, it brings up a second arrow. That's your copy. I mean, you could always copy and paste with Control C and Control V, but it's faster to just hold down the Alt key. Okay, so now you want to add in, okay, so I generally run my stitch lines about 1/8 of an inch off the edge. So I'll do center everything, and this needs to come down just a tiny bit. I'm going to bring this out. Things aren't always exact, but they're close. Okay, so now then the design here needs to get shrunk down, and that's pretty good. Okay, and then I always do send my customers a mock-up, so I will send them basically this for approval. I just want to make sure that everybody's on the same page and they're happy with their design and there are no discrepancies when the product's delivered. Okay, so I'm pretty happy with that. I think that looks pretty good. So now what we're going to do is we're going to put this up here in the corner because that's generally where I start with my engraving. And I'm going to make a copy of that. I have two different sizes of hats. I have a youth and a adult. 2 youth hats and 10 adult sizes. So I'm going to copy these and, oops, hold down the Alt key, drag it down. Now I'm going to resize these to 2.75 because that's the size that I need for my adult patches. Okay, now I'm going to get rid of these stitch lines because I don't want to engrave those in. And then Alt key, copy, and you're going to do this. So you get those 4 on there, and then you can highlight all of them. Now you have 8, and we need 10. So there we go. So now, if you highlight everything and you come over here to the far upper right, you can see that this little box, wherever you put it, tells you where it is on your X and Y axis points. So what I like to do is click on the bottom right, so that takes you down here, and that'll tell you pretty much what size leather you need to have. And I will generally add 1/4 of an inch or so onto that number, just for a little bit of extra space. So so you're probably going to cut yours about 6 inches wide and 8 1/4, 8.5 inches tall. And then once that's all set up and you have your leather cut, the screen share button doesn't, or the screen sharing program doesn't allow me to show you my print settings, but each laser is different, so you'll need to follow your manufacturer's specifications for rastering and vectoring. So that's it for setting up my artwork, and now we're going to head over to the laser. Alrighty, I hope you can see what's going on here. Light's not super great, but you'll get the idea. Alright, so once you've got your leather loaded in, get it all lined up, and next thing you're going to do is check your height. You want to make sure that the bottom of your sensor here is touching your leather. Okay, close the lid. Here, hit print. And this little green light's going to light up. Once that's done, play. Now this thing's pretty cold. It's been sitting for a couple of days. And I usually let it run for a second just to warm up, but I've already let it run for about 15-20 minutes while I was setting up the artwork. So now I'm going to turn the fan on, and the sound's going to go off because it's going to get really loud, and we're going to go. Update on where we're at. We're about halfway through. Looking really good. Be right back. Okay, so there we got our beautiful patches. Well, the engraving part and all that settled. We'll wipe that off when we're done. So next thing we're going to do is cut. So I've got the computer all ready to go. Print.
Green lights on. I don't know if you can see that. Anyway, so that's ready to go. Okay. I'm gonna bring this just a little bit. Depending on the leather that I use, I run this vector cut 2 to 3 times. I bring the tray up a couple clicks each time. Alright, so this is what we have. Beautiful. So this soot will come off. I'll clean that off with the rag. So usually we'll check that. If it doesn't pop up, then I'll run it again. So we're gonna run this again. And bring this up. We'll do it 3 clicks. And we'll go again. Alright, so most of these are good to go. I'm going to have to manually go in and cut some out, but you can see, well, my phone died because it ran out of space. I guess it's time to get a new phone. So anyway, here's the patches. Here's what the back looks like. Some of these, like I said, I'm going to have to manually cut them out, but you can see there they went through most of the way. I'll have to cut them out with scissors or my rotary tool. Well, here's the finished product. I think it looks pretty darn good. What do you think? If you want to see how I sew the patches on the hats, click this video right here. Hey guys, it's Sandra with Sandra Jean Design, and today I wanted to run you through my process of how I sew leather patches onto my hats. So there's a bunch of ways that you can attach your leather patches to your hats. You can glue them, you can heat press them on with a special adhesive that you attach to the back of the patch, or you can sew them, which is what I like to do. The machine that I'm using is a Texo 5100 SE, and it's a really cool machine because you can sew the hats on, or it comes with an attachable table, so you can do flat work. Like I sew my leather bags with it, I can do beanies with it, and it just makes it a lot more versatile than your standard sewing machine. The sewing machines that you would get from Joann's or Walmart or something, like a Singer or whatever, those don't have the space that you need to be able to run your hats through to sew those patches on properly. So I wouldn't recommend starting out with one of those. So the reason why I got the Texo 5100 SE is because it has a huge space in it, as you can see in this picture, and it allows you to manipulate the hats so that you can get those patches on properly. Plus it has bigger needles so that you can get through the leather. There's a lot of twisting and turning that goes on when you run your patches through, and needles will break, and you need to use a stronger thread than your standard, you know, like you're sewing a regular a garment or something like that. And another reason why I like to sew the patches on is for durability. A lot of my customers are ranchers, and they run their hats through this washing machine, and glue, if you only glue your patches on, then you're going to end up with patches falling off, and really creates I wouldn't say an inferior product, it's just not as durable. So I'll glue them on and then sew them on. Okay, so the first thing that I'm doing here is unsnapping the back of the hat and removing the little cardboard insert that they use to hold it up.
And then I'm dropping the needle right in the corner of the bottom left corner of the patch. And that gives me a good spot to line up to. And then got my thread caught there. So if you can see the lines, I ran some lines around the edge of the patch, and that's my stitch guide. And that's what I use to make my stitches nice and straight. And this machine goes really slow. It will literally go one stitch at a time with one press of the pedal. And then right here I'm just dropping the needle into the corner and turning. And you can see I press the crown of the hat just a little bit so that I can get it flat. And that first stitch you have to be really careful. You have to do it manually so that you don't end up with a longer stitch because it presses on the bill. And then manually dropping that needle into the corner for the turn. And then you can see there I squished the crown down just a little bit more to keep it flat. And this is where a post arm machine would work really well, so you don't have to smash down the crown of the hat. But once you're done, you can pop it out and smooth it out, and you can't even tell. And so I always start on the bottom left corner and work my way across the bottom of the patch first, right along the bill there. And then when I come down to the corner here, you want to drop your needle right into that first stitch that you made, right on the outside edge there. Make your turn, and then I usually go 2 or 3 stitches right back in the same holes that I made on my first pass. And then you clip your strings out, and then here you want to pull your threads out towards to the inside of the hat so that you can clip everything off. There you can see I'm using a weeding tool to pull the thread out. And then if it doesn't go all the way through, you can just clip it off the front there real close, and then most of the time it'll just pull right through. There, it popped right out. Then you clip your threads down to about 1/4 of an inch because you're going to burn them next with the lighter. And the thread that I'm using is a bonded nylon, so it melts really nice. And when you burn it down almost to the very bottom. And once it gets down to the bottom, you just smush it down and it attaches itself to the hat and it doesn't come off. And you snap it all back together, smooth it out. And then sometimes I'll use either the lighter or the back of my metal scissors to smooth down the leather and try to get some of the marks out from the stitches, and there you go.
Thanks for watching today's video on how to sew leather patches onto hats. If you have any questions on anything that I showed you today, please drop that in the comments below. And if there's a video that you'd like to see on something specific, please let me know. You can either drop it in the comments or shoot me an email. That's also down in the description. See you next time.